think it's important too not to get too caught up in the idea that that urban spaces are somehow separate from, or not
Yes.
separate, but unconnected from rural spaces, right? It's more important to think about urban spaces as hubs.
Yes.
So they're hubs of, there's a sociologist by the name of Anthony Giddens that talks about cities as power containers. So basically all he's saying is that there's a ton of administrative and allocative resources in it. You get tons of people that come together with a bunch of money and a ton of infrastructure, all of that kind of stuff. It produces particular kinds of things. They're cultural generators. But Indigenous people, we talk about urban Indigenous people and rural Indigenous people as though these are different people. But when you think about the amount of movement between rural and urban spaces, from big cities to small cities, from small cities to towns, from towns to more rural areas, et cetera, you have people moving back and forth all the time. You have people who have cousins who live in particular areas that are different than the ones that you live in. So it's more important to think about the ways in which urban and rural spaces are connected to each other by, like, literally by social relations. We're connected by kind of extended family among all of these different kinds of spaces. It's shaped in particular ways by the internet, by social media. But as long as we continue to think about these as entirely different spaces, then we're kind of reproducing. You know, one of the arguments about colonialism is that colonialism has got people to think that Indigenous people can only be one thing, or that all of us can only be one thing. There's all these binaries, right? You're either rural or urban, you're either authentic or you're not, those kinds of things. And when you start to think about cities as hubs, then you can explode those binaries and start to think about all the different ways in which culture circulates, right? We think about rural spaces as these spaces where culture resides and culture is produced, and people go to cities, and we no longer think about cities as places where culture goes to die now, but maybe it's in attenuated form. But you think of all of the kinds of Indigenous culture that gets created with all of these different Indigenous people from different nations coming together in the same space, and then it goes back to rural spaces. You can see that the direction of cultural production is going both ways.